For 38 years, I believed in love like it was a fairy tale, the kind of story you tell your kids someday, the kind you think you're lucky to live through even once. My name is Caroline Whitman. I was a published author, quietly successful, living in a charming Manhattan brownstone with Mark, my husband, my supposed soulmate, a man whose touch made me believe in calm after chaos. He knew how I took my coffee, kissed my forehead each morning, whispered I was his world every night, and I believed him, with everything in me. But one night, around midnight, I woke up alone. At first, I assumed he was downstairs, maybe grabbing a snack or working late. But then I heard his voice.
Low.
Serious. Calculated. She still doesn't suspect anything. And my blood ran cold. I stood frozen in bed, unable to breathe, as his words pierced every illusion I had ever wrapped my life around. That's the moment everything shattered. And what came next wasn't just betrayal, it was war. Hook ends around 049, call TO action. If you've ever felt the ground shift beneath your feet because of a lie, keep listening, because this isn't just a story, it's a survival manual.
Like.
Comment.
Share.
Someone out there needs to hear this. That night, I stayed quiet, still as a corpse, pretending to sleep as Mark slid back into bed like nothing happened. The next morning, I moved through our home like a ghost, hollowed out and haunted. My hands shook as I reached for my phone, something I'd never done in our entire marriage. Mark handled our finances, the bills, the investments, the accounts. I trusted him because I thought that's what love meant. But as I opened our banking app, trust turned into terror. Hundreds of transactions, $500 here, $2,000 there, dozens of quiet, sneaky withdrawals. Not huge, but enough to build a storm, enough to fund a plan. And I knew in my bones I was the target. Then came the voice behind me. Checking the account this early? He said, leaning against the doorway, sipping coffee like a man with nothing to hide. I played it cool. Just curious, I said, pointing to the withdrawals. He shrugged, smiling like a snake. Small investments. Forgot to mention. That was the moment something inside me cracked, not in rage, not in heartbreak, but in ice-cold resolve. That night, I watched him closer. The phone he never let go. The calls he stepped outside to take. The half-smiles that didn't quite reach his eyes. I waited. I observed. I planned. Then one evening, he left his phone on the dining table. For the first time, as the shower ran upstairs, I reached for it with trembling fingers. Unlocked. Messages. One thread with no contact name. Just a number. Send her the Ilium files. Make sure she stays in the dark. Almost done. My heart slammed in my chest. Her.
Was it me?
Ilium files. What was he hiding? What was he building? And why was I being kept in the dark? I splashed cold water on my face, but nothing could quiet the storm inside me. That night, Mark curled beside me, kissed my forehead like always, and whispered, "Sleep tight." He still thought I was in the dark. That was his mistake. The next morning, I called Anna, my best friend from college and, conveniently, one of the sharpest estate attorneys in New York. We hadn't talked in months, but when she heard my voice shake, she knew something was wrong. I told her everything, the messages, the transactions, the files.
She paused.
Then one question. How much money are we talking? I swallowed hard. Close to $500 million. Silence. Then her voice, steel sharp. We move your assets.
Now.
My knees gave way, but I nodded. That trust? That blind love. It had nearly cost me everything. For the next 72 hours, we worked like ghosts in the night. Transferring titles, securing accounts, building legal firewalls. I moved every penny, every piece of real estate, every royalty I'd ever earned into a private trust. Protected. Untouchable. When Mark walked through the door 3 days later, smiling, carrying Thai takeout, he had no idea he was now locked out of my world. I took the bag, smiled back, and let him sit across from me, like nothing had changed. Because I wanted him to make the next move.
And he did.
4 days later. It was a Friday. He came home early, dressed sharper than usual, sat down across from me with a folder. "We need to talk," he said, his voice too calm. I opened it. Divorce papers. "It's for the best," he said, rehearsed. "We've grown apart." I looked him straight in the eye. "Before we go any further, you should know, I've already moved everything." His face paled. "What?" "The apartment, the royalties, the accounts, all in a protected trust. You can't touch a cent." He clenched his jaw. "You can't do that." I already did. And then I said the line that haunted him more than any threat. "You don't get to destroy my life and walk away with half." He stormed out. I didn't follow, because I wasn't scared anymore. But what came next? I never saw coming. 3 days later, whispers started circling at work. Colleagues avoided eye contact. Then my assistant Rachel walked into my office with a printout. An anonymous forum post titled, "CFO hides funds during divorce using company money." Below it comments, "It's Caroline Whitman. Look into her." My breath left me. He was trying to smear me, to ruin me professionally. I called Anna. That evening, I sat in her office, rage and fear swirling in my chest. "He's trying to bury me in lies," I said. Anna nodded. "Then let's make sure those lies bury him instead." We filed a cease and desist, prepared for defamation. But Mark wasn't done. 3 days later, Anna called me in. "He's filed a lawsuit, accusing you of fraud. Says you embezzled funds from your joint accounts." I felt the world tilt beneath me. "And he's not alone," she added. She slid a folder toward me. "He filed with a co-plaintiff." I opened it. The name hit me like a bullet. Alamaro. The name from the message. "Who is he?" I asked. "A known fraudster. Forgeries. Fake documents. Never convicted, but always close." The file was full of fake transactions, signatures mimicking mine. But none were real. None matched my accounts. Anna sent everything to a forensic expert. For the next week, we didn't sleep. We worked. We documented. We tracked. We proved. And then we went to court. I wore navy. Sat beside Anna.
Calm. Strong.
Across from us, Mark looked like a man unraveling. The judge examined everything. The documents. The timelines. The signatures. Alamaro didn't even show. The truth. Undeniable. Clear as glass. Mark's case crumbled. He lost everything. Access to my trust, his defamation backfired, and he was ordered to pay all my legal fees. After court, he tried to approach me. "You didn't have to do this," he whispered. I looked him dead in the eye.
"No, Mark.
You didn't have to." And I walked away for good. I didn't celebrate. I didn't scream. I just breathed. For the first time in weeks, I felt the weight lift. But this wasn't victory. This was survival. Quiet.
Steady. Whole.
I returned to writing. To walking through Central Park.
To peace.
I didn't win because I fought harder. I won because I knew my worth. Because I stopped trusting blindly and started acting smart. And if you're still here, still listening, I want you to hear this loud and clear. Trust is a gift. But control over your life? That is a right. Know your worth. Protect your future. Don't wait for the betrayal to wake you up. Be ready before it ever happens. Because if someone ever dares to shatter your world with all their